Many people treat the phrase "the last days" as an apocalyptic countdown, a signal for fire, brimstone, and the collapse of civilization. Ancient prophets like Isaiah and the Apostle Peter use the term differently. In the original Hebrew, the words denote a futurity of days, a remote period defined by the arrival of a Messiah rather than a final end to the world. Isaiah anchors this future vision in exact geography. The opening verse of chapter 2 targets two specific locations, Judah and Jerusalem. These verses provide an architectural and social roadmap for a specific transition in government and worship. It is a plan for a future society centered on a physical house of God. This plan centers on the mountain of the Lord's house, or Mount Moriah. It is a site with a violent history, including total destruction by Babylon and a subsequent 70-year vacancy while the people of Judah lived in captivity. Decades after the Jews returned and rebuilt a modest structure, Herod the Great launched a massive reconstruction project. He expanded the temple grounds with towering stone walls and intricate architecture to win political favor with the people. By 34 AD, this temple dominated the Jerusalem skyline. For those living through the ministry of Christ and the miracles of Pentecost, the presence of this physical house of the Lord meant they were living in Isaiah's promised latter days. This period ended in 70 AD, when Roman legions burned the temple to the ground, effectively closing that chapter of Judean worship. With the temple destroyed and the people scattered, the fulfillment of Isaiah's established mountain remained incomplete, leaving the prophecy waiting for a future set of latter days. Historically, thousands of travelers made the annual pilgrimage to the ancient city of Jerusalem for Passover and the Feast of Tabernacles. They funneled into the city from across the region to gather at the temple. Jerusalem functioned as the primary learning center for divine law. This is where leaders like the Apostle Paul received their education, training under elite rabbis like Gamaliel to master the scriptures. Verse 3 introduces a geographic distinction that expands this model. Isaiah states, "The word of the Lord will come from Jerusalem, but out of Zion shall go forth the law." Isaiah's language divides the administrative duties of this future society between two distinct centers. The prophecy requires a second geographic location to handle the distribution of this law. Latter-day Saint theology identifies this second capital as Zion, or the New Jerusalem, located on the American continent and working in tandem with the Jerusalem of old. Church leaders have taught that the law going forth from Zion is tied to modern governmental systems. The establishment of constitutional freedom provides the legal framework necessary for the gathering of Israel to begin. This gathering is currently visible in the tops of the mountains of the American West. Thousands of people from various nations now travel to these newly erected temples to be taught the ways of the Lord. In the future, Old Jerusalem will be cleansed and sanctified, becoming a holy city where the Lord dwells among the remnant of Judah. Together, these two cities are intended to serve as global headquarters. From these capitals, the word and the law will be distributed to all people during a time of universal governance. The ultimate sign that this prophecy has reached completion is found in verse 4, nations beating their swords into plowshares and the total end of military training. This condition of global peace has not yet been achieved. The modern history of Jerusalem remains defined by conflict and military presence, indicating that Isaiah's vision is still in a state of partial fulfillment. Verse 4 uses millennial language. It describes a future where the dual capitals of Zion and Jerusalem exert enough influence to end international disputes without violence. All previous temples, from the ancient stones of Herod to the modern spires in the mountains, are preparatory structures. They are the training grounds for this period of global disarmament. Verse 5 shifts from a global vision to a personal mandate. Isaiah calls on the house of Jacob to "Come ye and let us walk in the light of the Lord." The arrival of this era is not a passive event. It requires people to actively adopt the laws and ways taught in these houses of the Lord today. The peaceful era described by Isaiah is a work in progress. While the foundations are being laid in both Zion and Jerusalem, the final construction of that world rests with the current generation.